Hey guys, it's Josh here. So a little while back I did a video overview of the Martin's Cage's R-695 rat skyscraper we bought. And now that we've had two little girls in it for a month, we've had a chance to use it, I thought I'd go ahead and do a video review. So first off, I have to say that this cage is worth every penny that we paid for it. I think it came to about $150 shipped for the powder coated version. I had looked at some other cages in that price range, one being the Critter Nation cage, which ran about $50 more. And while that cage seemed to be a bit sturdier, you can see the panels on this have a little bit of a give to it, but it's not bending, it's just a little bit of flex. Critter Nation cages were a bit sturdier, although they had less actual interior space. While they were listed at slightly larger, it's because the Critter Nation cages come on a stand with some storage underneath, and that includes that. The actual cage portion of that is significantly smaller than this cage. Also, it only has one balcony and a main floor. You can see that this cage has a full second floor with two full balconies. Something to keep in mind if you're looking at the Critter Nation cage. Another cage that I looked at was the Rat Manor cage by Petco. Slightly smaller than this cage, and it was much weaker. The panels on it, the bars on it, flexed very easily. In fact, they bent pretty easily. I saw one in the store. It just seemed really cheap. I read about a couple people that said they had to replace theirs about every year, and that was something I really wanted to avoid. The size of this cage is perfect for two rats. There's more than enough space for them. You can actually hold up to 4 according to some different calculators that I looked at online. We're probably going to get a third one for in here just because we had so much fun with the two that we already have. As far as cleaning it goes, it's been no problem whatsoever. These doors are huge. You can see there's my hand there. I mean, they're gigantic. More than big enough to get in there and clean it out. I had said in the video overview how I opted not to get the flip top version. So far, that's something I still don't regret spending the extra $10 on. We haven't really needed it. In fact, we have it on a table where the top of the cage is taller than I am, so we wouldn't be able to use it anyway. The cage itself is very sturdy. We haven't had any bending or anything like that happen with it. It's really well built. The bars on it are spaced perfectly apart so that things like hammock clips and stuff go in and out pretty easily, yet they're not far enough apart that the rats can poke their whole head through. You get their little noses out, but that's about it. There's a few minor things that I have gripes about this cage, although I have to emphasize that it's nothing that should deter anybody from purchasing this cage. It really is an excellent cage. The people over at Martin's Cages have done a great job with this thing. What I do have to say though is that the clips that hold in the doors here are a little stiff when you first get the cage, although they do loosen up over time. Ours have already loosened up just in the first month. The top and bottom ones that hold each door, you can see there's 4 in each door. The upper and lower ones, because they're going through both the door and the back of the cage there, they tend to scrape against that back cage bar there, which has worn away the powder coating on ours. It's not so much that it's physically difficult, although that is a bit of a pain. It does actually hurt your thumb a little bit when you do it over and over again. I'm more worried about the cage being worn down. I don't think it's going to be a big issue. I can't imagine that it'll wear away at the metal that much. Although I just don't understand why they didn't raise it up and go up to this bar right here where there's only one layer that it would have to go through. It just seems like it would make more sense on the bottom one. They could go down one to this one right here. Seems like it would make it easier and extend the life of the cage a little bit. Also on the bottommost clip, when you push it in, because there's nothing holding the cage in the pan, I mean, you can see that there's flex there. When you push this in, see how it flexes the cage in? That was kind of worrying me a little bit. All we ended up doing was putting on a key ring right below where the clip attaches, and that way we can put our finger in there, pop it right out. Not a big deal. It seems like for the price of the keyring, they would add something like that into the cage kit. Just because it's there's so much flex there. It just seems so intuitive to have something to hold on to there. Also, I showed you in the video overview that the cage comes with these clips, which really do an excellent job at holding the cage in place and keeping it from sliding around the pan. It really doesn't move around too much. That said, There is only one on each side, and a couple of times we went to go move or clean out the cage, and either we didn't have it clipped in fully or one of our other animals bumped it loose enough that it came undone. And when we lifted the cage up, the cage came out, but the pan tipped down because it was only attached on one side. So what happened is, you see we have their litter box there on the bottom floor. Their litter spilled everywhere, all this cloth on the bottom went everywhere. They have some bunch of chewed up toys. They had some shredded paper down there before. That just went everywhere. It made a mess. Not to mention the fact that they were actually both on the bottom floor at the time, and it scared them a little bit. Thankfully, they didn't get out and run away and hide somewhere else in the house. We were able to keep them in the cage. But for how little, and I have to imagine these things are pretty expensive, it'd be nice if you got 4 of them, 1 for each side. Or 2 for each side rather, just to give you that added security of having it clipped on there nice and firmly. Other than that, there's really nothing I have to say that is too bad about this cage. It's an excellent cage. If you're looking for a cage in the $100 to $200 price range, definitely take a look at the Martin's R-695 Rat Skyscraper. It's well worth the money. Also, as a final note, the pliers that come with it to hook on these rings have an awesome little groove in there that makes it really easy, because you're going to have to do, I mean, you can see there's one every so often. You're going to have to do lots of those when you put it together. Whoever at Martin's is responsible for getting the pliers that has the groove in there, give that person a raise, because that made putting the cage together so much easier than it would have been if I had to use needle nose. And it was just a cool little thing to open that up and see that there was pliers specifically designed for putting the cage together. So that's it. Like I said, excellent cage. No complaints about it. No major complaints anyway. The few complaints that I do have are minor gripes. Anybody thinking about this, I definitely recommend it, and I hope that helps.